Paxton Cigarettes and Municipal Chemicals present Perfect Ratio Theater's production of I Dream of Carcosa. I Dream of Carcosa, tonight's exposition of oddities, is written and directed by Joseph Vogely and S.R. Lane, and starring the magnificent talents of Michelle Stahl, Tanya Atomic, Jonathan Bland, Donna Rooney, Rick Rooney, Joseph Vogely, and I am Philip Prudhomme.
Hello? Who is here at this time of night? Oh, hello, dearie. I wasn't expecting anyone tonight out in this weather. Well, I haven't seen a storm like this in eons. You look like a drowned rat. You must come in. It is nice to have some company on a night like this. Why don't you warm your bones by the fire over there? Ah, I see you are wondering about my collection of books. Yes, well, it is quite a library. It's kind of my job, you see. I am a librarian of sorts. I house these old, dusty tomes, which I have collected some myself, and others brought them to me. Yes, some very strange and wonderful manuscripts are housed here, many from ancient civilizations and intriguing faraway places. Oh, yes, I see. You have fixated upon one in particular. I suppose we could read it if you like, but I must warn you, it is a very dangerous book. Some books can be deadly, don't you know? Many who have cracked its binding have lost a piece of themselves. Perhaps you would be more interested in hearing where that volume has been instead? As I recall, it was once in the possession of a young man. He was a hard-working one, he was. Very bright and astute.
It was moving day, as I recall, when all this madness began to unfold. My fiancée, Helen, and I had recently relocated to my Uncle George's brownstone, which I had inherited from him. It came as quite a shock to find Uncle George had even remembered me, as I had only met him twice in my whole life. He was always off on one of his adventures, gallivanting about the globe. My father told me of him discovering treasures in Pharaoh's tomb, or unearthing the relics of King David, or some such thing. The new house is quite large, with more rooms than I could count. Helen insisted on moving in with me before we were married, since this house was more than an hour's journey from the home that she shared with her mother, father, and 3 siblings. She convinced me it needed a woman's touch, and that she'd be living here eventually anyway, since we were madly in love and planned to be married soon. I consider myself quite modern and didn't see any issue with our temporary, heck, some might call risque, living situation. But to those who might judge us, let them eat cake, as someone once said. Helen? Helen! Have you seen where I put my dissertation of non-Euclidean arithmetic? I can't seem to find it anywhere in any of the boxes. This house is too big.
Have you looked in the boxes in the hallway? I also saw some boxes in the solarium.
No, I already looked through all of those. They should have been marked for the library. I've got to have it to finish my PhD. I'm so close to getting the finishing touches on it.
Well, I'm busy unpacking the parlor room right now. It sure was grand of your uncle to bequeath this enormous brownstone to you. I wonder if the moving company put any of the boxes in the attic.
Don't be daft, Helen. I personally made certain to label each box clearly. Those papers were put in a leather case, marked for the study.
Well, then it surely should be there, dear.
Curses! This is absolute mayhem. Ugh, I'm getting one of my headaches.
Oh, no, not again. You really should see Dr. Lanigan about those. They really are becoming more persistent.
Nonsense. It's just the stress of the move is all. Could you bring me an aspirin?
I'm busy at the moment putting the dishes away. Why don't you just take a break and rest your eyes? I'll be in shortly.
Oh, very well. But please do hurry. This one is piercing. Ah! Can't the dishes wait? My head is about to split.
I want everything to look right for when your mother comes over.
Mother won't be visiting anytime soon. She still hasn't given us her blessing for living together before marriage. She won't be the one you'll need to impress anyhow. That, my dear, will be the dean. I'm aiming for tenure someday. Bloody hell, Helen, do you hear that? Curses, my ears are ringing now. This won't do it all. What in the devil is going on in there? Blast, where's that sound coming from? It almost sounds like it's coming from one of these books on the shelf. It sounds as though it's coming from this old dusty novel. But how? Helen, what is it? Are you hurt?
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Ladies, do you ever find yourselves confused, bewildered, or just plain dumbfounded by your gent? Does he tell you he loves you, but then works late at the office, coming home smelling like another gal's perfume? Or does he stay out late with the boys doing heaven knows what? Or does he forget your birthday, anniversary, or even to get you a Christmas present? Well, look no further. All your answers will be revealed with Dr. Sherzay's chocolate box.
Hattie, I think Hank is stepping out on me with another woman. And to top it off, I missed my visit from Aunt Flo last month. Whatever will I do?
Oh, Ruth Sugar, you gotta try these new chocolates I found at the drugstore. Dr. Sherzay's chocolate box has an assortment of specialty chocolates for your guy.
Dr. Sherzay's chocolate box, you say?
That's right, darling. Just feed your fellow the truth chocolate from Dr. Sherzay's chocolate box, and he'll sing like a canary.
Well, I'll be. That's some kind of magic.
It's not magic, sweets. It's science. I gave one of the commit chocolates from Dr. Sherzay's chocolate box, and James put a ring on my finger the next day.
Well, that's what I need.
For sure, doll. But first you gotta find out if you need to tie yourself to Hank at all. If he's seen another dame, maybe you first need to get Hank to slip her the forget chocolate from Dr. Sherzay's chocolate box.
Is that safe? She won't get sick or nothing, will she?
The only thing she'll get is some extra padding on her hips and the bums rush out of Hank's bed.
Then I've got to get me a dozen of Dr. Sherzay's chocolate boxes. If Hank's the pop of my growing belly, I better be prepared for the next 18 years. Mama's got to get a ring and house for this little bun.
That's right, ladies. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. You don't want to be the only gal in your block without a gent. Stock up today with Dr. Sherzay's chocolate boxes. You'll never be alone or lied to by your fella again.
Side effects include but not limited to the nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, nosebleeds, anal lesions, night terrors, sleepwalking, hyperdrive, sex drive, permanent erection, blue balls, boils, erratic, uncontrollable screams, and/or outbursts resemble Tourette's syndrome. Consult a physician that these rare and most often common symptoms occur.
Dr. Sherzay's chocolate boxes, because you care.
And now, back to our presentation.
Helen, what in the world is going on in here?
Oh, Brady, I feel so foolish. I broke this fine china dish. I'm such a butterfinger.
Oh, don't blame us, sir. It was my fault. I startled the young missus. My name's Thomas West, and I'm the groundskeeper around here. I worked for your uncle. You'll have to excuse me. You see, the back door was ajar, and I thought perhaps some young ruffians had broken in. The young missus here informed me that you're Mr. Aberhill's nephew. Fine to meet you. Very sad to hear about your uncle. He was a fine gentleman, he was.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. West. I'm Brady Haverhill. I do apologize for this mess. We're just moving in, you see.
Don't bother me none, sir. Not at all. And the name's Thomas, if you please. Your uncle called me that, and it works just fine for me.
I'd offer you some tea, but our water doesn't seem to be turned on yet. This house seems like it hasn't been lived in for a while.
Oh, don't worry yourself, missus. I'm just as fine as I am. I have a nice setup back at the shed at the edge of your garden, I do. I knew Mr. Avil would be wanting his home checked in on while he was at that other place. So I took it upon myself to ensure no pipes would burst while I was around. I can get that water turned back on in a jiff.
Oh, Thomas, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. What do we owe you?
Don't worry your head at all, Mrs. Averill. Your esteemed uncle laid it out in his will that I would be kept on as your groundskeeper while you and your husband lived here.
Oh, we're not married yet, that is.
I do beg your pardon, miss. You just have that look of domesticity about you. Congratulations on your perceived upcoming nuptials. Well, I'll be off to get fixing on those pipes right quick. If you need anything at all, you just holler for old Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. That's quite kind of you.
Goodbye, Thomas. Brady, dear, what's that look on your face? You look as though you saw a ghost.
The strangest thing happened in the office. I thought this book was making noise, but no, that's absurd.
Oh, dear, you just need to relax for a bit. Here is your aspirin.
Thank you, Helen. What would I do without you?
You would be lost without me, my love, that is for sure. Why don't you let me finish up here in the kitchen and you go relax until dinner is ready? Your dissertation can wait until tomorrow. We have the whole weekend still as it is.
Yes, dear, I do believe I will do just that. I left my dear sweet Helen to prepare our dinner and went back to tidy my uncle's study. As I collected the various items that lay strewn across the floor, I paused, just as I was about to touch the book which I believed the sound had emanated from. Upon further inspection, I discovered it was a copy of the play, The King in Yellow. I was quite surprised that my uncle had owned a copy, as I believed it was banned everywhere in Europe and most places abroad. I picked it up and turned it over in my hands. I felt the oddest of sensations with it. At once, I believed it felt strangely warm, and then the next minute, eerily cold. I dismissed the sensation as a side effect of my nerves. I took a seat in my Uncle Morris's chair. I turned the cover of the strange volume and began to read. I was taken aback by the descriptions, which were both horrid and beautiful at the same time. I was aghast at the darkened stars and rotted plains of Carcosa. My eyes both burned and were dazzled by the bleak landscape and torturous red dawn. I thought perhaps my sanity was beginning to waver, that my very soul would crack upon the desolate rocks of Carcosa's shore. I tossed the book aside in a frenzy and clattered off the stone fireplace where it came to rest half open. I simply could not bring myself to reach for it again. I left it there and stumbled off to bed with the sounds of ancient thunder smashing against my brain. Next morning, I was awoken by the clatter of a china cup sliding on its saucer, filled with piping hot tea as my beautiful fiancée held it in her nerve-rattled fingers.
Oh, my dear, you're finally awake. We were all so worried.
Helen? What in the world are you going on about? Of course I'm awake.
Brady, darling, you've been asleep for 2 straight days. I came in on Friday night and you wouldn't wake up. You were burning up fast and I had to send for a doctor.
You mean to tell me I've been out all this time?
Dr. Finch told me that you had the strangest fever. You were boiling from the inside, but all your vitals were normal. He said not to move you is not to rouse the fever. So I let you rest here. I do hope that was all right. But you're awake now, and that's all that matters.
Stop your fussing. I feel fine. Just a damned headache is all. Where's the cocaine? I feel my teeth aching inside my skull.
I don't mean to worry you, dear, but it was quite a fright. Why, poor old Thomas sat with you most of the night to keep watch over your condition so that I could take a nap. I hadn't slept in 2 days.
Enough! I don't want to hear any more yammering about it. I need peace and quiet, I tell you. I've got to find my dissertation. I've got to get my classes. I don't have time for your petty worries. How can you let me sleep? You know how much this final paper means to my professional standing when I graduate.
Oh, Brady, please don't be cross with me. I only meant the best for you. I was so worried.
Oh, Helen, yes, I'm so terribly sorry. How can I yell at you, my dear sweet love? Please forgive me. How about I finish my work and tidy a few loose ends, then tomorrow I'll take you out for dinner to the most expensive joint in town. I can afford it now with this inheritance.
That sounds lovely. Oh, Brady.
Oh, Helen.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Fred, you ever have trouble, putting a smile on your missus' face?
Aw, shucks, Saul. You having bedroom problems lately?
Aw, gee. Sure are, Fred. I get my wife in the mood with her favorite tickles, but then the tent falls flat, if you know what I mean.
Boy, do I. The boss had me working 80 hours a week to cover his rear. He got all the glory and promotion while I was left with no for my lady. She wasn't too pleased with limp noodles for dessert, I tell ya. Happens to the best of us, Saul.
Well, what am I gonna do, Fred? My missus is gonna get one of those new fandangled dildoas or something, and then she won't need me no more.
Do what I did and take Erector X. It's made for guys just like us. Burning the candle at both ends doesn't mean we can't put a smile on our dames' faces.
Erector X, huh? Sounds like some kind of scam.
Believe me, brother, it ain't no scam. It's the real McCoy. Why do you think my Betsy has been whistling every day for weeks? All thanks to Erector X.
Ooh, yeah. She has seemed pretty darn happy lately.
You bet your last penny she has. Why, she's darn near glowing rainbows and spouting sunbeams from her pores.
Well, hey, thanks, Fred. I sure appreciate it.
You got it, pal. Ain't no shame in soggy eggplants. You just have to know you're not alone, and the solution is at your local pharmacist.
Well, that's good to know. I'm gonna go get some now. But before I do, any strange side effects I should know about?
Nothing out of the ordinary. But you may notice
headaches, nausea, sore or swollen ankles, disorientation and or memory loss, panic attacks, seizures, trouble breathing, sleeping for days or weeks after your orgasm, growing a Labrador retriever from your neck, purple tongue, sandpaper skin, and most likely really big boners that delight your wife to no end. Erections that last up to 24 hours or more? Consult your physician.
Well, that's not so bad. You're the best neighbor I've ever had.
Anytime, Saul. You go get your Erector X now and let your wife's smile do all the talking.
And now, back to our presentation.
Now, where was I? Oh, yes. We had just discovered that young Brady was not quite himself after reading The King in Yellow. I told you how anyone who's ever read it went insane, didn't I? No? Well, I'm sure I did. Do pay better attention. Now, let's fast forward a bit to the next day. Brady is waiting in the office of one Professor Jenkins, the lead researcher in ancient and arcane manuscripts at Miskatonic University.
Brady, how are you doing this evening? Please take a seat.
I'm fine. Thank you, Professor.
Would you like a glass of brandy?
No, thank you, Professor Jenkins. Did you hear that humming, Professor?
A humming? No, I can't say I do.
It's... never mind.
I hope you don't mind if I make myself a drink. I've been reading term papers all afternoon and need a break from the chicken scratch. Oh, don't get me wrong, some of them are decent work, but most are just overwrought and blandly uninteresting. I thought I had done a better job at teaching you students to open your minds and think outside of the norm. So many go to Chaucer or Herodotus for their answers. Have I not always said that history is not just ingesting the facts already laid down, but also blowing off the dust of ages and discovering the deeper truth underneath it all?
Yes, Professor, you did say that.
I see you have brought me your thesis. What have we here? Fascinating! I see you have certainly taken my words to heart. Why, what is this here about pre-Babylonian funeral rites? And this name here, Carcosa. Why does that seem familiar?
Carcosa? Pre-Babylonian? Why, that isn't right. My paper's on Greek symbols and their relation to Masonic Brotherhood initiation.
Oh, Brady, you are quite the comedian. This Hastur you have written here, son of Yog Sothoth, fascinating. Why, I seem to recall a professor who taught here, must have been 20 years ago now, who studied similar mythologies. Poor man went quite insane. He had caught his wife in bed with another man and shot them both dead. Professor Littleton, I think, was his name. Happened just after I was hired.
Sir, you must listen to me. That can't be my thesis. And where is that blasted humming coming from?
Brady, you must calm down. There is no humming.
Oh my. I'm sorry, Professor. I don't know what's come over me.
That is okay, my boy. Here, have a drink. I insist. I've seen this before, just a simple case of nerves. It usually happens to 1 or 2 students by midwinter break. Something to do with the changing of the seasons and familial obligations associated with the holidays. I see you must have been studying quite hard and burning the midnight oil, as it were. This is really quite profound work.
Truly, Professor, I did not write about those things. I don't think I did.
Brady, what are you trying to pull? I've seen your handwriting enough times to recognize that this is it. Here, see.
My God. It is my handwriting. Professor.
I'll tell you what, my boy. Why don't you meet me at my house tomorrow night? Say 10 o'clock? Once you have some rest in you, we will discuss your thesis over a late meal. I shall take it for now. I'm quite looking forward to reading it in its entirety.
Thank you, Professor. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Indeed. Take care now, Brady, and get some rest.
Yes, Professor. I shall do that.
Brady, you seem to have dropped something. What is that you have there? Is that one of your research books?
I suppose it is.
The King in Yellow. This does sound familiar. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to give that a read sometime. Do you have any other classes to attend today?
Oh, I do, yes. Just one.
Why don't you skip that? I think you should get a good meal and take a nice hot bath. That will calm your nerves. Don't worry, I shall speak to your other instructor and explain on your behalf.
Thank you, Professor.
Young Brady, as confused as he ever was, decides to go to a tavern for a warm drink before going home to his sweet, lovely Helen, in hopes that he may calm his nerves and clear his mind, though thoughts of a strange, far-off land continue to swirl through his imagination. Who is the King in Yellow? Hastur? Carcosa? We shall soon learn these things, for better or ill, in due time.
What will it be, sir?
A toddy, please. If you can make it a little stronger than usual, that'd be preferred.
Sure, fella. You look like you could use a stiff one.
Also, I'd like some soup and bread. I'll be reading in the corner over there. Could you be so kind as to bring it to me?
Sure, why not?
I'd only glimpsed this book. Why should my thoughts be so overwhelmed by just a few words? Let's see. Scene 1, Act 2. Casilda and Camilla walk across the sandy shore.
Casilda, come now. We must get back home and prepare for the festivities. We have so much to do, and I want to look my best for Jean-Well.
Oh, how you obsessed over Jean-Well. I'll never know what you see in him.
He is handsome and well-read. And father approves of him, is what I see in him. I do not know why you dislike him so much. You know, he did mention he will be bringing Arlen with him.
Arlen? Arlen is such a bore. All he wants to do is sit around and talk about finances and business all day. I want a man who is worldly, one who will take me across the sea and show me strange new lands.
Is our home not enough for you?
No, never. I want to go to Carcosa.
Carcosa? Oh, Casilda. That is only a place told in children's tales.
No, Camilla, it is real, I tell you. I have dreamed of it every night since I was a little girl. Let's see, how did the song go? Along the shore, the cloud waves break, the twin suns sink behind the lake, the shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hyades shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead, die thou unsung, as tears unshed shall dry and die in lost Carcosa.
You sing of my home.
You are from Carcosa?
Indeed.
Oh, he's just fooling you. Where did you appear from, sir? We were the only ones here a moment ago.
I came from the sea. I am here for the festival.
I see you've already donned your mask for the evening. Follow us, won't you?
Here you go, pal. When Reuben was slow on chips with the toddy extra strength.
What's this? I don't remember ordering this. God, it smells awful.
Oh, I took your order not 20 minutes ago. Right where you're sitting. You sent back the soup and bread and all of this. I know it ain't the Ritz or nothing, but it's hot grub, chum. Well, you gotta slam my legs cooking.
I feel like I'm going to be sick. Excuse me, please. I have to leave. What? Who's there?
Hey, mister, you got some change for a warm cup of Joe?
Did you hear that?
You know what, mister? I just hear the cold wind whipping through my ears. I sure could use some change if you got it.
Those voices. I keep hearing.
Voices? Well, sounds like you got more troubles than me, mister. I'm just cold, but I don't hear no voices.
There they are again. You can't hear that? Over there. Do you see that man in the rags?
What are you on about, mister? What man?
That man in the tattered yellow rags and the yellow mask.
Hey, if you ain't got no coin, move along. I gotta make a living here. It's cold enough to freeze tits off a boar.
Out of my way.
Watch it, you jerk.
Brady! Brady!
Helen?
Brady!
Helen? Helen!
Brady!
Helen, is that you? Helen, where are you?
Brady! Brady!
Helen, what are you doing? Who is that man you're with? Don't go down that alley. Please, Helen, come back here.
You must give it to him. Your sacrifice will open the way to Carcosa.
You there. What did you do with Helen?
He will rise before the Father when the dark stars grow and the sky begins to fall.
Hey, where did you go?
Hey, you there! What's all that commotion about here?
Wait, legs. A woman's legs? Oh God. Oh my God. Why is there blood on my hands?
I'm talking to you, mister. Hey, stop right there. Put your hands where I can see them.
Is that what it looks like? This can't be. This is my fiancée. She shouldn't be here. It can't be her!
Why don't you start with your name, pal?
She isn't here! She can't be here, I tell you!
Hey, come back here. Hold on, mister. You get back here. Christ, he's got blood all over him.
Young Brady Haverhill ran from the grisly scene, lost in a fever of desperation and soaked in buckets of madness. You see, the play, The King in Yellow, and its description of the pallid mask-bearing avatar of Hastur had been the catalyst to many men's downfall. Brady ran straight to his humble abode where, in a moment of clarity, realized what the book had made him do. He rushed to his fireplace and piled the logs together.
Light, damn you!
You shall be rewarded when he brings his kingdom with him.
Oh God, leave me alone! Why are you in my home? Stay back, I have a gun!
This form is merely an avatar to deliver his word.
The book is burning, and it's everything!
Oh, Brady Haverhill, this is merely the beginning of your journey. Come now, it is time to go.
Let go! Where are you taking me?
You shall wage his glory in Carcosa.
Oh God! Oh God!
2 days gone by, and Brady's professor sought after his young students' whereabouts when he had missed their dinner. Professor Jenkins walked up the steps to the brownstone with an odd sense in his gut. There were police cars lining the street and what seemed like a lot of commotion going on inside Brady's house. He spotted Mr. West, the Haverhill handyman, sitting on the veranda, puffing on his pipe.
What happened here?
Well, that all depends on who you ask. Who might you be then?
My name's Jenkins. Professor Jenkins, that is. I'm a colleague of Brady Haverhill at the university.
Well then, you know all about the other night then.
I haven't a clue. Brady was to have dinner at my home last night and he never showed. Is he about?
Well, that's the trouble. He's disappeared, and his lovely fiancée was found in a dark alley, wrung to bits.
That is terrible. Absolutely ghastly. Do they know who is responsible?
Aye, they do. And it was young Mr. Haverhill himself.
It is not possible.
Not only is it possible, that is sadly the facts of the case. He was caught in the act by a copper in a dark alley just off by the Commons area downtown. The copper had found Haverhill standing above the mangled corpse of his lovely young lass. That was his fiancée. Such a shame.
My God! I should have said something or done something. When I last saw Brady, he was quite unlike his usual self. His nerves were all fraught from his studies. I'm sure the new move and the holidays approaching wasn't helping the boy's condition. He had just delivered the most awe-inspiring thesis I have ever read. It was a study of an ancient society's mythology about an amazing far-off land named Carcosa and a king in the yellow.
Well, they do say madness and brilliance runs in the same circles. King in Yellow, you say? Why, I found this book here in the fireplace when I was showing the corpus around the home here. It was just sitting in the fireplace, all covered with soot. Darned thing. It didn't have a single scorch mark on it. Isn't that odd?
Yes, that is odd. Do you mind if I have a look at that?
Not at all. You can keep it for all I care. I mostly stick to reading racing programs and funny papers anyhow. Well, I have my work to get back to. Can't stand around talking about those we've lost all day. Life's for the living and all that. Goodbye, Professor.
Yes. Goodbye.
And that is the end of that grim tale. Well, would you look at that? The storm has died down to a whisper. I expect you can stay the night here if you'd like. Wait till daylight to continue on your journey. You're welcome to read any of the books you see here, but beware, some stories have a way of changing a person.